Welcome to Workforce Talks, a podcast by the National Work Readiness Council. We tell stories to inspire career pathways across America. Follow along at NWRC.org. Now, here's your host, Reecie Stagnolia.
Welcome to the second edition of the National Work Readiness Council's podcast, Workforce Talks. I'm Reecie Stagnolia, Executive Director of the National Work Readiness Council. And in phase one of my career, I led Kentucky's adult education system, serving as the State Director of Adult Education and the Vice President for Adult Education with the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education. I was also fortunate to serve 2 terms as the Chair of the National Association of State Directors of Adult Education. Before I introduce today's guest, let me tell you a little bit about the National Work Readiness Council. The NWRC is a national nonprofit workforce development, training, and advocacy organization formed in 2003 and officially incorporated in 2007 by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Our focus is defining the skills needed by workers across all industries to ensure that the workforce is equipped with the necessary knowledge and abilities to meet the demands of the ever-changing job market. The National Work Readiness Council seeks to identify skill gaps and partner with education and training providers to bridge those gaps. The initial vision was to identify entry-level foundational skills that job seekers need to pursue career pathways. The council convened employers across industries, chambers of commerce, unions, educators, and workforce training professionals nationwide and built a common language and standards to define foundational career readiness. We have state-level partnerships in South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, New York, Texas, Florida, and Michigan, supported by our partner Win Learning, and we proudly endorse their credentials of value in academic skills, soft skills, and digital skills. Now, let me introduce today's guest. We're pleased today to have Dr. Teresa Chasteen-Dunn. Teresa is the president, CEO, and founder of Win Learning, and they are celebrating their 30th anniversary in business this year. Win is a foundational partner of the National Work Readiness Council, and I had the privilege of getting to know Teresa and the Win team years ago when I was leading Kentucky's adult education system. So Teresa's super excited to have you as today's guest on Workforce Talks. So Teresa, we met and began working in this courseware and credentialing arena years ago. But one thing we have in common is we both grew up in Eastern Kentucky, as you can probably tell from our accents, mine in particular. And as a result, we share an appreciation for Patti Loveless' hit song, "You'll Never Leave Harlan Alive." So, which on my mug here today. But Teresa, so glad to have you as our guest today. So welcome, and tell us a little bit about what led to you launching Win Learning 30 years ago.
Well, thank you, Reecie. I'm honored to be here. And May 10th, only a few days away, is our 30th anniversary. In fact, it's my older brother's birthday, and we launched Win on his birthday. He and I started Win. He and I had done real estate business together. I was in higher education as a professor, and he kept thinking, well, there needs to be something we can do in the education world too. He stuck with real estate. I stuck with Win Learning, and we started it. And I didn't grow up as much in Eastern Kentucky. All my family is from there, but my parents both went to Redbird Mission School in Clay County, Kentucky, which is still there today. And they decided that their 5 kids needed more educational opportunities than were available close by there. So we still love Eastern Kentucky, love Kentucky, but I grew up most of my life in Tennessee. And then taught in higher education, taught everything from remedial and developmental courses to graduate level courses, and loved that, but kept getting asked over and over, when am I ever going to use this? That was the common question that I heard over and over, especially from returning adults who were trying to get reemployed and things like that. And Tennessee Board of Regents at that time was trying to develop a work readiness curriculum, and they were struggling not to do it in the typical academic format. And we agreed that we would invest in more of a distance education format, and we're off to the races with workforce curriculum at that time. We did employability skills, and as you know, Kentucky was the first contract where you all did the first career readiness certificate. It was called Kentucky Employability Certificate,
Right.
and it was for employability skills in workplace reading, math, and data. And so we worked on that, and then we very quickly realized from some of your colleagues and you guys that there was a need for pre-employment work as well. And so we developed a pre-employment curriculum, and that's kind of how we got started. And we're still doing work both in Tennessee and Kentucky today, and we're very honored to be able to do that.
Yeah. So, we've been around long enough. And so what changes have you observed over these 30 years in the sort of software and technology arena?
Oh my goodness, that's a long conversation. So I'll try to keep it short. So when we started 30 years ago, we actually started with workbooks. So every level had a workbook. And then we had CD-ROM, which many of your audience may not even remember.
Yeah.
And then we had LAN versions, and we were still in the fax machine days, as you would know back then. But we've seen it evolve to almost fully online now. And Kentucky was actually ahead of the game in that way. They had Kentucky Virtual University, and with the adult education being a partner of that, we saw it getting used online pretty early there. So we've evolved from print-based, CD-ROM, LAN. We even did some VHS videotapes back in the day. And so lots of things that aren't even in the technology today, but we love what we're able to do now because it's so much more available to all of our clients that need it anywhere they are.
Yeah. So I often refer to Win Learning as the gold standard in the world of workforce development and adult education courseware and credentialing. Over the years, you've developed and added what I call to be a true one-stop portfolio of courseware and credentials with soft skills, academic skills, digital skills. So obviously, you've not embraced the status quo over the years. You've changed with the times. So tell us how you've evolved to meet the demands and needs of today's employers, employees, and partner agencies.
Well, again, another great question. I think for us, it's as you see jobs change, you have to change what you're providing in terms of training and assessment and tools that can help people meet those demands of the current workforce. And so we go all the way back to when we first started, we were strictly looking at workplace employability skills, reading, math, data, like we talked about. Very soon after that, we kept hearing the need for soft skills. And soft skills has lots of other better names, I think, durable skills. You called it essential skills when you were in Kentucky, but they're all those same skills that employers really say there's such a need for. And so after we developed our own assessments for reading, math, and data, we thought we need to look for a soft skills solution. Who has an assessment that would fit this need? We'll build the curriculum. And that's actually how we found the NWRC. The NWRC at that time had developed an assessment. They didn't have curriculum, but they had an assessment that included soft skills. And so we acquired that intellectual property and then further developed it into our current soft skills. And we've continued to develop it. And then states have told us, states like South Carolina said we need digital skills, which makes sense. So we developed a whole suite of products around digital skills and recently added AI modules to that as well, because AI has become a big part of the work world and our whole world. So we continue to evolve. We don't do the status quo. We like to be current with what the workforce demands. And I think the market has evolved, but certainly the job demands have evolved as well. What's even more interesting is if you look 30 years ago, people weren't that interested in career readiness or work readiness. They were more interested in everybody goes to college and that's the most important route and that kind of thing. But now we've seen it evolve where career readiness is a very, very important policy in all of our states. And it's been a much easier policy presentation today than it was 30 years ago.
Yeah, one of the things I recall from our days in Kentucky is when you acquired the National Work Readiness assessment. Is one of the things that we wanted to do is to ensure that employers had confidence in their students actually understood the competencies and content, and to administer it in a secure, proctored environment, so that they felt confident that they achieved those competencies in the assessment.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that's added to that is even for K-12 students, especially going through the pandemic, soft skills has become even more important to that population as well. And so we've seen a real growth in demand for that and awareness of the importance of that across the country.
Yeah, you just made a great point that we don't talk about often enough, is that really the portfolio or suite of tools in your toolbox transcend whether it's K-12, adult education, or the workforce development arena.
Absolutely. And when I talk about how it's good policy for all, I mean, eventually everyone's going to get a job, whether they go to college, whether they go to uh, skilled trade school, whether they go, and get some other kind of training. They still need all those skills in that job to succeed. And so it does go across all populations, and a lot of our states recognize that better than ever now.
Yeah, one of the things that I champion, particularly for the adult education arena, it has been a great tool for recruitment and retention. Many of those in the adult education workforce development arena as well come in with such low skills that they lack confidence, they lack self-esteem, and to first achieve a soft skills, essential skills credential, and then maybe an academic skills credential, a digital skills credential on the pathway to earning a high school equivalency diploma. And then those students exit adult education programs with 4 credentials in their portfolio. So, that's one of the things that I thought is very advantageous for the tool in the adult education arena.
Absolutely. And I think it gives, whether it's at-risk students, dropouts, adult ed, incarcerated individuals who just need that extra boost to say, I can succeed in the workplace or I can succeed in a training program. I think we offer that opportunity, and that's a wonderful thing we get to do.
Yeah. So I love how Steve Fain, our colleague, your executive vice president for sales and marketing, says we under promise and over deliver. And certainly you have been very customer service focused over the years. And that's sort of a real plus for how you've operated over the last 30 years. Talk about that from a customer service perspective.
Oh, wow. I'm so proud of our team. Totally agree. We love hearing that. And we try to always, focus on not only how we can deliver good customer service, but also just how we can be there to answer any question that they have live and in real time. And we do that every day, especially during our big testing windows for our big test implementations. And the feedback has been wonderful about that because one of the great compliments that we've gotten from some of our states is we're like a partner and not a vendor. And to me, that's part of that is that customer service that we provide and make so important as part of our company. Our whole culture of our company is focused on how we can do better and not only just deliver customer service, but listen to them and what they need next and what we can build that would be helpful to them, whether it's enhancements to our system so that they can run reports that go with what they need to deliver from their perspective, whether they're in K-12 or any other program, TANF, SNAP, wherever they are using our products. We try to build reports that make it easier for them to use it. And then how we build new products that will help them as well. And so we try to be very focused on that. And I think that's been a great part of our success.
Yeah, I've always said that we have to be flexible, nimble, and responsive to our students, our employers, our partners. Not only that, today's operative word is resiliency. And so as I think about the word resiliency, what's been the secret sauce for your staying power in this world of work over the last 30 years?
Well, honestly, I think we love the work. The other thing that people have said about us is we operate more like a nonprofit than a for-profit company. And, my position is we get to do good and do well. And I tell people all the time when talking about what we do and the stories that we hear back of how we've contributed to improving someone's life or getting them a job or better employment or all those things. It's like doing missionary work.
Yeah.
And we love that. And so when you hear all these stories, I think all of my team would tell you it makes it so worth it what we get to do in helping people. And it can't get any better than that.
Yeah, certainly that gives you a great opportunity to leave a great legacy in this arena. So anything you see on the horizon for the future? You mentioned earlier AI, but anything else or that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I'm just excited that I feel like the conversation has evolved. If you go to policy meetings, because we've always presented WIN as tools that can help support good policy on either side of the aisle. It works well for everybody that is willing to try it. And now the conversation has come there where career readiness has become at the forefront of, yes, we need to make that important in our education policy. We need to make it important in our workforce policy. We know that good education is an engine for economic development. And this is what makes that happen, is giving people the skills they need to get there. And so it's really exciting to see that conversation is career readiness for all now and makes our life a lot easier, makes us feel like we've made real progress in the last 30 years.
Well, certainly you've done fabulous work in this arena over the last 30 years. I commend you for that and applaud you're able to celebrate a 30-year anniversary in this world of work and just the great legacy that you'll leave in this work for the future. And so, Teresa, thank you for being our guest today on Workforce Talks and wish you well in the future.
Thank you, Reecie. Honored to be here.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Workforce Talks. For more career inspiration, follow us on social media. Learn more about the National Work Readiness Council and view the show notes for this episode at NWRC.org.